Australia's anti-money laundering agency, AUSTRAC, has today signalled a pivot in its priorities from checking compliance to focusing on substantive risks in our economy. It means more people and companies will be checked and prosecuted for money laundering lapses. Our business editor Ross Greenwood joins me now. Ross, AUSTRAC famously fined casinos, banks billions of dollars over their lapses. So who's in their sights now?
So it's kind of interesting this because AUSTRAC always has been just an agency that really has been much feared in recent times. It's not just anti-money laundering, but counter-terrorism financing as well. There have been massive prosecutions. It's cracked down on some, say, foreign currency traders that have actually been operating here in Australia over a period of time. But it's been the banks and the casinos in particular that have been in the sight so far. So I have looked at some of the massive penalties that they've handed out over a period of time. And the biggest of all was no doubt the Westpac when it got hit with a $1.3 billion penalty. Behind that, not far behind, the Commonwealth Bank, $700 million. But there have been a range of casinos there. Crown Resorts, $450 million. And then you go to Sky City, $67 million, even Tabcorp at $45 million. The one that's not there, that is now outstanding and waiting to come down at some stage, is the Star, which is expected to be, perhaps, people just guess, some $300 million or so. But now what AUSTRAC is saying is it's going to pivot. Now, there's a thing which is called basically Tranche 2. Now, what it's going to have is powers to go and investigate the likes of lawyers and real estate agents. So, in other words, if your clients are coming to you, you've got to know where their money is coming from.
Wow.
That money is not laundered. In other words, you can't simply say, I'm sorry, I didn't know where the money came from. You've got to have proof as to where that money has come from so that it is not being laundered. Because, say, for example, in Australia, I can tell you this, a lot of the drug money that comes through the cocaine trail ends up in houses in very affluent suburbs in Australia.
When they just sit sometimes...
Sometimes sit empty, sometimes sit there. But the fact is, it's proceeds of crime.
Right.
And so this is something that AUSTRAC is trying to pursue. And so a real estate agent that is selling that property to a person has got to know where their money is coming from.
Right,
otherwise, they also will be the subject of it. And lawyers who have got clients who are money laundering can't simply say, we don't know what our clients' means of resources are. They've now, under this Act, got to also do it. But they're going to go after gem dealers. They're going after bullion traders.
Luxury cars?
Luxury cars are massive in all of this, being confiscated by the federal police over a period of time.
Right.
So it's such an interesting area of crime. And also, if you think, in some ways people say, there's no victims here. The victims are if you go to buy a house and you've got a drug dealer who's bought basically a house for a more expensive price and they've got more money to pay for that house, you get knocked out. And so this is part of the reason why they're so vigorous in pursuing this. So it's a fascinating area.
So, for example, Ross, if you are a real estate agent, you've got a client that wants to spend, I don't know, $5 million on a house in the eastern suburbs and he wants to pay, him or her wants to pay the deposit in cash.
Yep.
What is the expectation for a real estate agent? Do they have to ask the right questions?
They've got to ask the right questions. They've got to know where the client's money comes from. They've got to have a source. You've got to then have procedures in place to ensure that person's money has come from legitimate sources.
Pay slips and things
like
that?
I've heard stories in the past of basically suitcases with millions and millions of dollars being literally handed over to builders and or to real estate agents. Wow. No questions asked, right? Now, the fact is now the questions have to be asked. Otherwise, that person, the real estate agent, or the lawyer may very well themselves be the subject of prosecution.
Right. Oh, that's extraordinary. Anyway, let's look at the latest employment numbers out in a couple of hours' time.
Couple of hours' time.
So what's going to change here?
Not much, actually, nothing at all.
Okay.
I reckon that's okay. So let's have a quick look. We can show you what the forecast is here. 4.1% May. The forecast in June, when it comes down, 4.1%. It ain't changing. Have a quick look also. 20,000 new jobs created. So this is the ongoing story of more jobs being created in Australia. Just one other thing, I'll share the odds of interest rate cuts now. So 77% in August. So again, markets are saying it'll happen. But by December, basically markets are saying the odds are that there'll be 2 interest rate cuts by December. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, well, markets said it would happen last week too.
They said they got it wrong.
So they did. Let's talk about the boss of one of the most successful ASX companies now stepping down. Who's that?
Car sales, Cameron McIntyre. Been there 19 years, been the chief executive for more than 10. It's been one of the most successful companies over that period of time. It's now a global business. Here's the company over 5 years. We took the share chart over 5 years, up 182%. So it's pretty solid. And as I say, this is homegrown Australian business, and effectively it's taken over. There he is, Cameron McIntyre there.
What's he going to
stepping
do
down
next?
over time. Well, I know.
Retire?
He lives fairly close to one of my houses. I might see a bit more of him. Who knows?
All right. Well, lucky him, and good luck with that.
Lucky me, right?
Ross, great to see you. Thanks so much.